I haven't even seen the box score, so I've got no idea. I know we played well in the first half, and what we shoot in the second half, 18%. Jesus, Lord have mercy. But that's a credit to Tom and the enthusiasm, the energy, who he is, what he's brought to this league. That he's got those kids, even though if you pay attention to their record, he refuses to give in. And I know he's new to the South, so a lot of people down this way don't know much about what he's accomplished as a coach because it's not repeated a whole lot. But he's real good at what he does. And he's got an unbelievable enthusiasm for every day, and his kids represent that. You're talking about a guy that led Marquette to the Final Four, that won 2 Big Ten championships, had Indiana in the tournament 4 out of 5 years, if I'm not mistaken, after the crazy rebuilding job that he walked into. Having him in this league makes it extremely difficult to win. But I'm proud of with all that said, I'm proud of our guys. I've been real hard on those 3 seniors, Trey, Hassani, and Chris, and harder on them as seniors probably than any senior class I've ever had, because we needed all 3 of them to be so good, because we've had so many first-year guys along with so much adversity, and they've answered the bell every single time. The reason that we've become a good basketball team is the efforts of those 3 guys, and that's something that I hope this team's always remembered by as we keep moving forward. No, Dave, no. I answered your question the other day, man. It was a bad question.
Sorry about that. I had to go interview the 7th.
Yeah, I know. That third-string offensive tackle is more important than the team that's in season. I know how that works.
Frank, you
You think you can come cover my individuals when football's in season?
Absolutely.
When Will has his press conference, I'm going to have an open workout. I'm going to see which one you pick then.
No problem. You mentioned it there.
I'm sorry, I can't help myself.
It's all right. You mentioned it there, Frank, that you still finished 4th despite all the adversity. Now that the regular season is over, just how much of a strange and weird journey has this been to really stay in 4th place all year despite everything you guys have gone through?
No, we didn't stay in 4th place all year. We were in 1st place for almost 3 weeks, and then we were in 2nd place, and then we were in 3rd place, and then we've held on to 4th place the last 4 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks of the season. These kids have always been at the top of the league. You know what's embarrassing? See, some coaches say they don't watch and all that stuff. I'm telling you, I purposely have not watched this year. Sometimes I do watch and listen and read. My assistants do. So I was tired of watching Georgia on film, and it's Chuck's scout. So I get together with Chuck. I said, Chuck, I had just finished watching Indiana playing Illinois because I was tired of watching SEC, my team, the next team. So I said, let me just watch my friend coach. And when the Indiana game was over, all the talking heads, I saw their schedule. I saw their record. All the talking heads are saying, well, this puts Indiana right back in the middle of this whole thing. And I saw the record, and I was like, I got to look at this because I thought they lost like 9 in a row and 12 or 13. And good for Archie. I'm not trying to knock him. I'm just telling you a story how I got. So I called Chuck. I said, Chuck, how help me out here. So Chuck, who does pay attention to all that stuff and reads and all that, he flips out on me on the phone. You know what's embarrassing? The SEC Now show, okay, listed the teams in the league, their standings, and their NCAA possibilities. I didn't see the show, but everyone's confirmed this is what happened. They listed number 1, number 2, number 3. They had a blank space on number 4, and then they listed 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And they created an argument why all of those teams belonged in the NCAA tournament. That's awesome. What happened to number 4? Because here's what I'm going to tell you, because then I got pissed when I heard that. So I asked Chuck, so I said, let me start doing a little research on this. You know what bothers me? We've got more quadrant 1 and 2 wins than 13 of the 15 teams that they've put on the bubble. Who's done that? Why do I have to do that research? I signed up to be a basketball coach, not a promoter. Why do I have to come up with that number? We've got the same record as some teams that we're competing against. We played five non-conference home games. Some of the teams that got 2 and 3 more wins than us, they played a lot of bye games at home. I could have done that. I could have chose when I got the call from Virginia and I knew this year we're going to Michigan and to Wyoming. I could have said, no, that's okay, Tony. I'd rather play, you pick the school. Instead, I said, no, let's do it. And you know, I could have said no to Wyoming. I could have played a bye game at home instead. But instead, we put these kids on a plane and flew across the world to go play at Wyoming. And we lost. I get it. But at the end of the day, what's the difference whether you're 5-8 in non-league play or 6-12 in league play? What's the difference? So the teams that are 6-12 in league play are on the bubble with similar records to us, or maybe they have 2 or 3 more wins because they played 6 guarantee games? Come on, man. You know, why don't we start like speaking about this league evenly and fairly for all the teams that belong and don't belong? Because when I do watch, the people that cover the other leagues, they got you convinced that the 12th place team is better than the 2nd place team in our league. I've been here for 7 years, man. This league is so hard right now. This league is unbelievably hard to win a game. For a team to be 11-7 in this conference with a winning record, play a schedule. If you take our strength of schedule is 20. Our non-conference strength of schedule, I think, is about 100 or something like that. But if you take 2 games off that, 2 teams that unfortunately, like Wyoming, after we played them, they've lost 7 players to injuries, 7. So they've lost a lot. But if you take them and Upstate off our schedule, our strength of schedule is top 10. Top 10. Non-conference I'm talking about. You know, and I get it. We lost games. I understand. I'm not here to tell you that we belong. I'm not trying. But what I'm telling you is I'm willing to put ours up against any of those teams on the bubble. I don't understand how you can be on the bubble and you got 0 quadrant 1, quadrant 2 wins. I don't understand how that works. Heck, if I'd schedule like we used to schedule around here, we'd have 23 wins. This team would have 23 wins this year. But then we do a disservice to this conference. We do a disservice to our fan base. I do a disservice to my bosses. That's not how I work. But I'd like for somebody to point out the facts that we're not like this scrub team that doesn't belong. If you're going to talk about some of the teams you're talking about, you better put what our guys have done on the same page with those guys. Sorry, you got me on a tangent there that no one else around here is willing to speak about, so I'm going to speak about it. And by the way, I'm going to give you 2 numbers. We've lost 223 practices due to injury. We've lost 119 man games due to injury. Try that one on for size when you've got 9 first-year guys on your roster. Sorry about that, boys. You see, I told you guys shouldn't have let David ask me that question. He asked me 2 bad questions in a row. The one the other day was really bad, by the way. Really bad. My God. Holy cow, was that a bad question you asked me that day?
Well, Frank, I hate to throw a little more red meat into the mix, but how impressive – I mean, this South Carolina is going to have a double bye for the 3rd season out of last 4 in the SEC tournament. Only Kentucky's done better. I mean, do you think people realize what this program is about at this point?
I'm not a cheerleader. You know, some guys are good cheerleaders. I'm not a good cheerleader. Some guys run around and pound their chest and tell the world about what they accomplish. I never speak about my accomplishments because it's not about me. I've been unbelievably fortunate that I was just telling some friends that I've got in town, 2 former high school players that came in town with their families to see us that play today. I was telling them how lucky I've been in my career. As a high school kid, I'm around a Hall of Fame high school basketball coach that becomes my father figure. I go on, I've said this before, I'm going to say it again. I go on and I get into college and I end up with Bob Huggins, one of the top 5, 6 winners of all time in the business. He becomes a mentor. I end up with Bill Snyder, Hall of Fame guy, like hand in hand with him, teaching me how to coach from my first year as a head coach. I end up with Ray Tanner. I end up with Don Staley. I end up with Steve Spurrier. Why? Why am I around those Hall of Famers? Why am I the lucky person that gets to call those people friends and gets to use them as a resource? I don't understand why I'm so lucky. I'm around unbelievable kids. I've got incredible assistant coaches. I was a part of 8 state championships in 16 years as a high school coach. I was a part of the winningest team in the history of Kansas State University, and I was also a part of the winningest team in the history of the University of South Carolina. We fought to build a culture here, and we continue to fight to build it. It's not there. And because of that, it's put us in a situation that we can do what you just asked me about. Too many people around here want to speak about our bad days, and they don't want to speak about the totality of the good days. And that's unfortunate. But that's, when I talk about apathy, and I've talked about that a lot over the last 7 years, that's what I'm talking about. I think that message, it's not for me. I'm not the one doing the work. I'm not the one that's chasing recruits down. Some coaches will tell you, oh, I recruit every day. My assistants recruit every day. They're the ones that are pulled away from their families every day. Those kids are the ones that get up off the mat and they fight for what we fought to build here. I'm extremely proud of where we're at. I just think that message needs to be told, and people need to stop talking about South Carolina as if we're still irrelevant like we were 7, 8, 9 years ago. You know, we've earned the right for people to put us in a conversation with the successful programs in this conference.
On Chris, basketball aside, how much has this university meant to him? How much have you seen over the last 4 years?
You've been covering us for the 4 years. Have you seen someone improve as much as him over the last 4 years? Have you seen him ever come out and have a bad day in this building? He might have a game where his numbers aren't good, but have you ever seen him come out and just have a day where he looks disinterested or not? He is one of the special people that I've been put in front of during my coaching career. He's got an enthusiasm for life that's contagious. There's a reason why in his 4 years we've had the success you're talking about. He came in here as a humble kid and learned from the guys before him, and he's worked his tail off to carry that torch. And he's special. He's special. And you know, you look at all those ignorant draft boards, because they're ignorant. They're put by people that don't watch guys. They just go on hearsay, okay? I can put a draft board together on the people I hear are good players, okay? I've done this for a bunch of guys like Chris. Well, you know, his left-hand dribble isn't perfect, and, you know, he doesn't really do this real well, and he does this, and he can't do that. Whenever his journey here is over, because it's not over, he's got a lot to play for right now. But whenever his journey here is over, whoever gives him a real opportunity is going to have himself a Udonis Haslam, a Rodney Magruder, a Sindarius Thornwell, a P.J. Doe. He's going to have him. Whatever team gives him an opportunity, they can get rid of him. Loyalty, work ethic, commitment, those are words that a lot of people take for granted in today's society. He don't take that for granted for a single day. You know, I'll give you an example about Chris, about what an unbelievable kid he is. We're in practice, and I'm teaching on one side of the court, and Bruce Shingler's teaching on the other side of the court. Chris on his side. And he messed up, and Bruce corrected it. Did it again, messed up the same way. Bruce said to him, Chris, where's your brain at? That dude pointed across the court. I had no idea. Pointed across the court at me. He said, that's my brain. That's how loyal that kid is. That's the kind of commitment that he has made to this university. He loves this school. There were people in his, you know, we all say their circle. I had a hell of a circle when I was 17 years old. A hell of a circle. It consisted of my mother, my grandmother, and my high school coach. What a great circle. These kids now have circles at 17. How do they know these people? Who's in your circle? What is that? You know, I'm a grown man. I don't have a circle. I have a family. I have people who are my family. I don't have circles, okay? But today's day and age, they say they got a circle. There were people in his corner that tried to convince him not to come to school here. That kid at that age, he said, I don't care what anyone says. I'm going to go play there. That's where I want to be. He's a special kid. He's a great teammate. Did he get another double-double? So that means that now he leads the SEC again in double-doubles. Am I correct? And he's a returning first-team All-League player. Am I correct? And he's a returning Defensive Player of the Year. Am I correct? Yet, for whatever reason, no one ever speaks about his accomplishments. They speak about the fact that he had a bad day against Wyoming. Why? Why? Why does that happen? Why can't anyone ever report like this dude's playing like a player of the year? You see what he's doing with this team that's in fourth place, that's had all these issues? That's the part. After 7 years here, I'm going to pick on Dave. That's what I get frustrated about. Because instead of people being here covering that press conference, they were concerned about spring football. I get it, bro. I'm a huge football fan. Will Muschamp's my friend. No one's going to root and help him more than I am. It's disrespectful, not to me, to Chris Silva, that when the last press conference of the year, he's getting ready to go play his senior day, we had 5 people in here to talk about him. Because, if I'm not mistaken, he was here for that press conference. Okay, I saw him drive off as I was pulling up. That's wrong, man, because that kid's done nothing but help this university. He's given his heart and soul to help this place. That's wrong.
Frank, along those lines, I think those seniors at 38 of those first 44 points.
That was fun.
Yeah.
That's the way it should be. It's
yeah.
not always like that, but that's the way it should be.
Was that a pretty well scripted, first half? And had you ever seen, what was your experience with senior day? And have you seen something like that where that class on that day comes out that hot and that motivated?
Yeah, a couple of years ago when Carrera, Mendogas, and them were seniors, first of all, I had my first real seniors was my second year at Kansas State. And the one senior, Darren Kent, who ended up coming with me as a GA here my first year, he was 0 for 10 from the field, 0 for 3 from the foul line. He was our second leading scorer. We won. I felt so bad for him because that's not the way that book's supposed to be written. Then we had the year with Carrera, where he tears his groin in the first half against Georgia. And he played the whole second half, and the ball would not go in for him. And we end up losing. He's playing with a torn groin, which he never told anyone about after the game. That's not the way it's supposed to be. It's the book's not. When people talk about writing the book, that's not the way the chapter should go. But that's life, man. You don't control things sometimes. Today, that's the book I like to read. Like, if I get to write the book, that's how I want to write it. Those 3 kids in practice yesterday, that's as engaged as those 3 have been. Practice was ridiculously good yesterday. And it's been good for a while, but yesterday's practice was over the top. And they came out and played that way. And that, not just making shots defensively. They were, like, connected. They were making plays and then making shots. When I went into halftime, I was actually concerned because they had played so well, and with that kind of a lead, I don't know if you remember, I'm starting to get so old, I don't remember a lot about when I was 18 to 22, but I know I used to do a lot of stupid stuff, and all I can think of is with this big lead, these kids are going to start thinking like, this is our last time on the court. And that's a pressure that you as a coach don't want those kids to have. And I think they felt that. I think they got consumed with like, wow, instead of like next play. I haven't asked them that, but I think that's what happened. But all that aside, man, it's if I ever get to write a book, I'm gonna write a book about seniors. I want to speak about their last home game being like that.
Frank, 2 questions. One, probably the one that Gamecock fans want to know. If you go to Public tomorrow, will you be looking for your buddy from Georgia?
I got a better story for you. I'm at Target last spring. Right after Frank Booker's senior year, so last spring. My daughter has a volleyball tournament, and like I always do, I forgot to do what my wife told me to do, okay? So we're driving, I don't know to what city. So now it's 10 o'clock at night, and she says, hey, did you buy Bob? So I act like the intelligent guy. I got it all planned. I said, hon, I was really tired. I had plans on just waking up early, going to Target, getting the stuff we need. I'll be back to pick us up, load up the car, we're gone. Okay, no problem. So I go into Target. I go in the restroom, the one on Two Notch Road over there. And first of all, I'm half asleep, so I go get some coffee at the Starbucks, and then I go in the restroom, and there's 2 gentlemen in the restroom, older man, a younger guy, and the older guy's holding a baby. And this goes back This is a better story than that Georgia fan, by the way. I'm into storytelling today, and so I'm washing my hands, and the guy's right next to me, staring right into my ear hole, and I'm washing my hands. So eventually, I turn around and look at him, and he says, "Aren't you the basketball coach?" And I say, "Yes, sir." He says, "Wow, great to meet you." He says, Dad, you know who this is?" And the older gentleman says, "I have no idea." I'm actually thinking, "Thank God." And he says, "Sir, I don't mean to be rude. If you were the football coach, I definitely, or a football coach, I definitely know something about you." I said, "Sir, I understand. No disrespect, man." He says, Dad, he's the basketball coach." The guy says to me, the older gentleman says to me, "Wow, I really hope you figure this one out, because we've been waiting for success around here for a long, long time. We're coming off a Final Four. Guy had no idea." So if I find the guy from Georgia, I might buy him a beer. That's what I might do.
A real question though was
True story, by the way.
Frank. I know you've been doing this for a long time, but where does this season rank for you with the overcoming? Because I know Tom Crean was just in here and he said that, and I know you probably we're not going to get caught up with this, but he was saying, Frank should be considered for the SEC Coach of the Year, National Coach of the Year, considering everything you guys had to overcome to get to this point of being a number 4 seed in a tough SEC, conference that people don't give a lot of credit to a lot of times.
Yeah, I'm not those individual selfish awards. I'm not into that stuff. I was fortunate to be Big 12 Coach of the Year. I was fortunate to be there's all kinds of different designated coaches of the year. I got some national coach of the year with a Pete something coach of the year one time nationally. Those are awesome. That's just a representation of your locker room. That's all it is. But as far as this team's been incredible for me. It's been unbelievable to me. The resiliency of these kids to not give in, not fight coaching, to not lay down on the mat. Like when A.J. Lawson went down, it really hurt our spirit. Our players had invested so much to become good, and they knew that beating Alabama was going to be a very important game for our team moving forward. And when A.J. went down, it kind of took the wind out of our sails a little bit. And we went into Missouri with our feelings hurt. And I probably had something to do with that because I changed how we wanted to play. So I think that encouraged them being a little dejected. Or not, I shouldn't say dejected. Think that we didn't have enough. But they've been unbelievable. Even the young kids. Keyshawn Bryant. Are you kidding me, man? When we took Keyshawn last June, May, whenever he committed to us, if you would have told me the first day of practice that Keyshawn Bryant's going to be playing 30 minutes a game for the 4th place team in the SEC, I'd have said, yeah, right. Yeah, good luck with that one. Nice try. And that dude's out there, like, what's he shooting from the foul line? I don't even know. That dude went 4 for 4 when Georgia had made a push, when he can really, really kind of freeze out. That dude went boom, 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 boom to give us a lead again, to make kind of just get everyone to settle down. So this team's been incredible for me personally. It's been my staff has been incredible. The growth of this team has a lot to do with Perry, Chuck, and Bruce. My Scott, all those guys. They're so good. They refuse to allow these kids to ever come in and have a bad day, and then those kids are. This year, whenever I separate from the season, I'm going to look back, and this is going to be one of the favorite seasons I've ever had in coaching.
Frank, getting that double bye, keeping the extra 40 minutes of physical basketball off your legs, how much more manageable does next week kind of become for you guys?
It's still going. I mean, I'd like to have our team play on Saturday. We've put ourselves in a place where we give not just this team, but over 3 of the last 4 years or whatever, put ourselves in a place where we've had a chance to play on Saturday, and we haven't been able to get there. Even a couple of years where we played Wednesday, we won Wednesday and Thursday and couldn't get past Friday. That's going to be a big message from me to our team for the rest of the week. We know every game's hard. Getting to Sunday is important. I was fortunate. I coached in a conference championship game once. It's a special moment. And to do that, you got to have a real good basketball team. These kids are incredible. If they could have the opportunity to get to the weekend, it'd be special for them. But to get to the weekend, if we had to play Wednesday or Thursday in consecutive days, as shorthanded as we are, it's going to be hard. I think we'll have AJ back. He tried to go today, and push come to shove, he probably could have played. He wouldn't have been 100%. He probably could have played 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes. That's not the right thing to do. Now he gets to rest, not just today, but tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday. We'll do some stuff, but he pretty much gets to rest, and then we'll see if he can go, Wednesday, Thursday. But for us to have a real opportunity at the weekend, and here's one thing about the double bye. We could have talked about like, hey, Tennessee, they're real good, and they're going into Auburn. We never spoke about that. Those kids wanted to earn the 4 seed. They didn't want to get in because someone else lost. They wanted the 4 seed, and they went out and played that way.
Coach, you spoke a little bit earlier about loyalty when it comes to the seniors and what they've meant to a team. This is in certain programs. I don't want to ask you to speak about those programs, but there are some fans will joke at those schools that it's freshman day, not senior day anymore, with some one and dones.
That's
so
part.
to have these kids who stick with you and not only are loyal to it, but ask you to get the best out of them. When you reflect on that as a whole, how special is that?
It's one of the things that's kind of disrupted college basketball is the consistency of the same guy being at. I've spoken about that. Charles Barkley being at Auburn for 3 years. He's going, Shaq. I think he was there 3 years too. Going into all the SEC arenas for 3 years, playing in front of their fans for 3 years. It builds an unbelievable, like Chris. It builds an unbelievable partnership between the fan base and the young man. Basketball's different than most sports. Fans sit courtside. The kids don't have helmets on. They don't have face masks on. Their names are on their jersey. There's interaction. It's a little different. It creates an unbelievable bond there. But the rules are what they are. And I've had one and dones. I loved coaching Michael Beasley as much as I love coaching Chris Silva. I enjoyed P.J. Dozier as much as I enjoyed 4 years with Sindarius. It's all part of it. The guys that stay around for 4 years, I'll be honest with you, 4 years is kind of enough for a player and a coach. I'm just telling you, it's kind of enough. It's over. Yo, go. I'm still here for you. Go. I'm tired of you. And they're like, Frank, I'm tired of you yelling at me too. It's 4 years is kind of enough. But no, it's the growth. It's like raising a child, man. That's what creates that bond. When kids are like my young kids, it's a fight every day. It's a fight every day. Bad mood. And even when I'm in a good mood, I get home, they made my wife mad. Now I got to be mad. But it's that lifelong journey to see them grow that eventually creates the bond that creates a lifetime. And that's what happens with 4-year guys.